Hey, it's Zane. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well today. In this video, I want to emphasize why it's so important to not lose faith. And the reason I'm saying this is because there is a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. There is a lot of negative sentiment. And that's understandable because a lot of people haven't done the work on Bitcoin. They're not 100% dialed into what this is, what's happening, and how all of this is intended to play out. So I want to touch on this today. I want to share with you some thoughts on this particular point, because even though the price of Bitcoin has dipped a little bit over the past 7 days or so, it's down around 8 to 10%, about the same over the past month. We have to keep remembering that Bitcoin is up nearly 60% over the past 12 months. And so if you've bought Bitcoin in the last month and you've seen the value of your capital allocation fall by 7, 8, 9, 10%, that's not a reason for you to lose faith. That is not a reason for you to give up. There are many, many smart people who I have met over the years who have fallen into the trap of buying into Bitcoin, and then because the value of their investment has fallen by 10, 12, 15, 20%, they've gotten shaken out of the market only to miss out on the life-changing gains. And so this is a game right now. And you have to understand that Wall Street is here to steal your Bitcoin. Wall Street is here to steal your Bitcoin. You have had 16 years to front run Wall Street. And now they want your Bitcoin. And they're going to do anything they can to do it. They're going to play all sorts of games. They're going to try to lure you in through lending, financial engineering. We've got treasury companies now. We've got ETFs. Any instrument available, they're going to utilize in order to trick you out of your Bitcoin. And so you've got to understand that the market makers, the financial engineering, what goes on in Wall Street, how they manipulate prices in order to shake people out of their assets, that is going to be something that we're going to see continue, particularly when it comes to Bitcoin being a decentralized, scarce asset, an asset that nobody controls. These games are only going to get more and more significant, more and more pronounced, because they know that 70 to 75% of the Bitcoin that's out there is in the hands of individuals, people like you and I. And so they want it off you. And once they get it off you, they're never going to give it back. And so now is the time more than ever for you to be really educating yourself, quietening the noise, doubling down, staying future focused, protecting your Bitcoin at all costs, not buying into any of these games, any of these narratives, not listening to any of the negative sentiment. Because you have to understand that Bitcoin's not going anywhere. All that's going to happen is that there's going to be a whole raft of people that are going to get shaken out of their Bitcoin over the coming months, and they're never going to get it back. And they're never going to get it back. So the message is that you've got to get clear on what you own. You have to be absolutely crystal clear on what you own. This is not a speculative asset. It is not a share or a stock, a tech stock. It's nothing like that. Bitcoin is a transformative monetary revolution. It is a protocol. And if you own Bitcoin, real Bitcoin in self-custody, then you have half the battle won. The only thing you have to do now is to ensure that you don't get shaken out of this market. This market will either wear you out or it will shake you out. You need to stop pricing your Bitcoin in dollars. You need to start thinking in terms of how much Bitcoin, how many Satoshis, how many fractions of a Bitcoin can you own as quickly as possible. How quickly can you exchange failing fiat Australian dollars, worthless paper? How quickly can you transfer and exchange that worthless paper, US dollars, euros, pounds? How quickly can you exchange that failing currency into an incorruptible form of money? How quickly can you do that? That is the question you need to be asking yourself right now. So I want you to understand the game that's being played here. There is a game being played, and you need to ensure that you don't fall for this game. It does not matter if your paper profits in Bitcoin are down 5, 10, 20, even 30%. None of that matters. What matters is where you're going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. That's what matters right now. That's what you need to be focused on. Not this short-term shakeout that is going on, that is going to basically separate millions of Bitcoin holders from their Bitcoin. Okay? So these market makers, they will do anything to shake you out of your Bitcoin. This is a monetary revolution. This is the world's first scarce, absolutely finite monetary instrument. And this is why the biggest pools of capital on earth are going to do everything that they can to take it off you and everybody else who owns it. And so our job is to make sure that we absolutely are crystal clear on what it is that we own, where this is going, and we have to make sure that we are taking self-custody to the nth degree, making sure that at all costs you protect your Bitcoin, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. We are in for a really turbulent period ahead. If everything that is being telegraphed out there in terms of a financial reset is true, why do you think gold is at all-time highs now? Gold knows. Gold is an asset that senses when there's change in the air in the financial system. We're on the cusp of a great financial reset in some form. And so you've got to be paying attention to what's going on now more than ever. Now, if you hold Bitcoin and you take it into self-custody, then you are holding the only asset that humanity has ever seen that is absolutely scarce, that everyone's going to need, that cannot be stopped, and yet still very few people still yet understand. There's still a huge portion of society that still don't know what Bitcoin is. And so if you do and you hold it in self-custody, then you are in the absolute top 5%. And I would argue that if you have Bitcoin in self-custody, you are not just in the top 5%, you're in the top 5% of the top 5%. Because most people who are in Bitcoin, they still don't understand the freedom movement, the freedom transformational aspect of Bitcoin. They don't understand that Bitcoin gives you an opportunity to be self-sovereign or financially autonomous through self-custody. And self-custody is where most people get stuck. And so it's one thing to have exposure to Bitcoin, it's one thing to own Bitcoin, but if you have it sitting with a counterparty, an exchange or a brokerage, or even in a collaborative custody setup, then you have introduced counterparties to your money, to your wealth. And I would argue that that's not that different from having your money stored in a bank or having your money stored in centralized assets, which in my view, right now in this world environment we're heading into, are sitting ducks. If you have all of your wealth stored in the centralized control system, real estate, share portfolios, stocks, bonds, etc., that is not going to be a good place to be, in my view, because they can flick a switch instantly and all of a sudden the rules are changed on your assets, your ownership rights. They can institute a central bank digital currency on whatever cash you have in the system, in the bank, so that now you're completely at the whim of surveillance money, What do you think all of this stablecoin stuff is all about? What do you really think the Genius Act is all about? If you don't know what's going on, it's time to do some homework on all of this. Don't lose faith. Don't get shaken out. You need to ensure you're holding real Bitcoin. You need to understand that scarcity is going to become the ultimate store of value. With AI coming, there's going to be enormous disruption. At the moment, people are using AI as a tool to help them become more productive. Now, there's limits to it because what we utilize originally with anything as tools quickly become a ubiquitous part of our life, and then we become dependent on those things. And the danger with something like AI is such that we lose touch with our ability to utilize our own capacity as human beings to create, to think, to be strategic, to learn, to grow, because we start outsourcing our ability to do all of that to a computer. And so we have to be very mindful of that too. If you're using AI, you need to use it as a tool, not as the be-all and end-all, because very quickly what could happen then is you could be completely, without you even realizing it, handing over all of your intellectual knowledge and ability and creativity and strategic thinking and intellect to a computer. So AI is coming, we can't stop that, and you and I can utilize it as a tool, but we're going to enter a phase very soon where it's going to start impacting human capital. And what I mean by that is the value of human capital is going to gradually fall to zero. Well, some would argue that it's going to happen quite suddenly. AI is one of those things that kind of just creeping up on us, and then all of a sudden, overnight, we're going to see the impact on that throughout the economy, through many, many professions. Even professions that could be argued once upon a time were untouchable, you would think. Many believe that AI is going to disrupt that many different industries that a lot of people aren't going to know what to do with themselves, because all of a sudden their value, what they tie their identity to, is going to change in very short time. And in a world like that, where corporations are going to be the biggest beneficiaries, particularly those who are embracing AI and they are dispensing with human capital in favor of AI, because why on earth would you keep employees on your books for $80, $100, $150, $200,000 per year with holiday pay, sick leave, productivity ups and downs, when you can engage AI for $5 a month and you don't have to worry about any of that? So corporations are going to become infinitely more efficient, more profitable. And this is going to be happening at a time where currency is being debased at an accelerated rate. So inflation, the growing wealth gap, cost of living, all of those things are only going to accelerate from where we are now. And so if you aren't using AI to your advantage to help you become more profitable yourself, right? Or you're not storing your savings in a currency that is protecting your value, i.e. Bitcoin. It's the only thing that can do that. Gold can do it to a degree, but it's certainly not going to grow your wealth. It's going to preserve it over time, but it won't grow it. But Bitcoin is the only thing that's going to enable you to stay financially protected in this new transition. Infinite efficiency is going to intersect with absolute scarcity, meaning you need to either be in absolutely scarce money or you need to be benefiting and profiting from infinite efficiency. And if you can do both, you're going to be in an absolutely elite group in this great reset that is ahead. So, it's really simple right now. Never has there been a more important time for you to be paying attention. Now, if you're here in Bitcoin, I would encourage you to stop paying attention to all of the noise, to just focus on what it is that you can do to keep stacking as hard as you can, as often as you can, whatever that looks like for you. If it's $100 a week, $1,000 a month, $10,000 a quarter, if you're getting out of legacy assets because you can see all of the attack vectors that are starting to appear around those things and rotating into Bitcoin, I applaud you for that. I know many people who are doing that. If you want to be financially free, autonomous, portable, decentralized, no permission to your wealth, then Bitcoin is the only place to be in this great monetary reset, in my view. Now, what do I think of precious metals? Some people ask me that. I think that everybody should have a small stack of gold and silver, particularly silver, because silver is something that is very utilizable. Something that you can transact with freely, in a worst case scenario, whereas gold is very, very difficult. How on earth are you going to utilize an ounce of gold at 4,000 plus US dollars in value? How are you going to use it to go and pay a farmer for raw milk? Whereas silver coins, you can, about 50 US dollars each, you can utilize that if need be. If we have a situation where there's capital controls, freezes on the banks, you want to operate outside the CBDC system that is coming, then yes, it would be useful to have a little bit of silver handy. So I'm a fan of that. So please stick to your conviction. Stay educated. Protect yourself from what many believe are coming capital controls, bank bail-ins, where as people start to get nervous, they are going to go to the bank to try and withdraw their money, and they're going to realize the truth that the banks do not have their money, and it's going to be a case of first in, best dressed. If you're last in line to collect your money from the bank, it's going to be bad luck. It's going to be bad luck. He or she who gets to the bank first to withdraw their money before this all unfolds are going to be best positioned, in my opinion. We're already seeing right now the banks tighten the screws. There are banks that are starting to dictate to their customers as to how much they can withdraw of their own money. They're starting to ask them why they're withdrawing it, where they're sending it, and they're telling you where you can and can't send your money. There are banks right now telling you that the maximum you can withdraw in a month is $10,000 to onboard into an exchange or a brokerage to buy Bitcoin among the big four banks. So it's a time to be very, very conscious of what's going on, and that's really my message today. Just not to get disturbed or to shaken out or caught up in all of this narrative and this noise and this uncertainty. Just know that Bitcoin is here to stay. It's doing its job, and don't get caught up in the games. Just buy Bitcoin, learn about self-custody, and just stack as much as you can, and just keep educating yourself, connect with like-minded people. This is why I do my one-on-one Zoom calls. I can help you, mindset, strategy, different tips to help you take the next best steps for you based on where you're at and what you're looking to do. It's also why I have my private mentorship community, where we've got a growing community of like-minded people who are all in this together and are all moving towards the future, this bright orange future that we refer to as Bitcoin, but they want to stay connected with people who are on a similar journey, and so they can share their journey, their wins, their challenges, and do it with people who understand the path that they're on. So if I can help you in any way, look for the link in the show notes. You'll see a link if you'd like to book a call with me. I'd love to meet you on Zoom. I can talk you through the next best steps for you. But other than that, it's a really, really interesting time, and I just ask you to stay focused, keep your eye on the prize, and you're going to win. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.